to say that there is this, I'm on the 6th floor, I'm not going to tell you what room, but I'm on the 6th floor of the DoubleTree, and if there's a parish that's on the 6th floor, you think my room is part of your parish, because you tried to wake me up this morning. So, thank you. I'm very honored to be part of your parish. So, but you don't need to wake me up tomorrow morning. But we're hearing this together, and as I said, this is the greatest thing that we're going to do today. The Mass is the greatest gift that we have as Catholics. And so, let's rejoice, let us be glad, let us celebrate, let us receive our Lord with that joy and that peace. And I want to just say that, I was so impressed last night to see how many of you went to the sacrament. That was amazing. And I want you to be very proud of yourselves. I mean, that line was huge. And if you didn't get there, we'll make sure we have plenty of time today, but I know that a lot of you, you accepted that invitation and you embraced that invitation, and I want to thank you, because that shows your depth and your love for your God and His love for you. And so as we enter the Mass today, He's going to come to us so He can be with us, so He can dwell with us, and that is just as amazing, that is just as beautiful, that is just as powerful, and that is the greatest gift that we have. And so as we come this weekend and we celebrate who God is, we're asking ourselves that question all weekend long is, who is God for me? What is God doing for me? How is God living in my life? How is God designing me? What is His purpose for me? Why am I here? And a bunch of questions, and you're going to ask questions today, you're going to ask questions tomorrow, you're going to ask questions for the rest of your lives. But what I want us to think about today is the fact that, and Pope Francis has been amazing about this, Pope Francis is calling us this radical discipleship that Jesus called us to. And more now than ever, the church needs you. The church needs all of us to be this radical disciple. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to understand all of it. But what God is asking is that we be faithful. And that being faithful, you and I are going out into the world. We're bringing this message of God's hope. And God is hope. God is the greatest hope for the world. He's what the world needs more now than ever. And you and I have that answer. You and I have that solution. We have that gift. And when we receive the Eucharist, we are then empowered and strengthened to go out and bring this gift to a broken and fallen world. But are we willing to do that? Are we willing to be bold? Are we willing to take that step to be His disciples and bring His hope to a very fallen world? The gospel today has those words that I love so much. Do not be afraid. And a lot of us have that fear. We have that fear because we don't know how people are going to react. We don't know how people are going to welcome us. We don't know how people are going to welcome the message of God's love. But if we bring that authentic love, if we bring God's authentic hope, then they're going to welcome it because everybody needs it. You need it. I need it. The fact that we received the invitation last night to go to the Sacrament of Reconciliation, and you received that invitation so beautifully, is because you need that hope, and you knew that. And you embrace that. And we need you to be hopeful and faithful disciples. So, just going to share with you a few stories. I want to tell you that I'm the worst driver in the world, all right? I don't know how I got my license. I have no idea. Because I probably have caused more accidents than you could even count. But one of the things that I struggle with are stop signs. I just don't see them. They just come out of the blue. They're like not there, and then they're there. So one day I was driving, and full ownership, I blew through the stop sign. Well, I obviously cut this person off. She was not happy. And it could have been a he, but it was a she. And so she showed me how unhappy she was. And it wasn't a wave. And so after she showed me how unhappy she was, I felt really bad, So I was like, go ahead, I understand you have the right of way, and I'm stupid. So go ahead. So after she did that wonderful expression of love, and she showed me that love, as she's driving away, the back of her car, there's a bumper sticker that said, "Pray the rosary daily." Like, come on. What's up with that? We're never going to be perfect, but we're always there to witness. We're always being called to witness. And you and I have to embrace that. That's part of discipleship, is that every part of our day, morning, at home, with your parents, with your siblings, when you're at school, you're there to witness. You're there to be God's disciple. You're there to bring His hope, His joy, His love, His mercy, His plan. You're there to be His witness in this very broken world. And when we find ourselves taking, a few steps back, don't worry, just go forward. Don't look back. Don't worry about the mistakes. Don't worry about our imperfections, but go forward. But realize that because you have been called to greatness, people are looking to you. People are looking to you for that example. You may not believe that, you may not know that, but they are. Even around you today. You're here and you may know the people that you're with, you may not, but people are looking to you because you're here. And hopefully this weekend will change you and you'll have that desire to go out into this world and to bring Christ to a world that needs it the most. As a priest, I love being a priest, but I also have another job. I have two jobs. My second job is I'm actually a full-time firefighter. And how that happened was I was the department chaplain, then I was named state chaplain, and in the process, I became part of their union, and then they told me I had to go training, and I went and became this firefighter, and I got my certifications and all this other stuff, and now I have to work once a week in the fire station. It was the biggest bum deal I ever got. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. So once a week, I go in, do what they do, I stay overnight, and let me tell you, they're a rough group. And, when I've changed stations or I've moved to different assignments, you know what? When the priest comes in, they're like just all quiet. They don't say a word. But, as we gotten to know each other and as relationships build, they're trusting. They're like, all right, Father, he's not bad. I can't probably, I have to watch my language maybe a little bit, and do this. But it's amazing I've been able to watch and become a part of their life because my first job is a priest. And that never changes. And they know that. So I've been able to watch God doing amazing things in their lives. And this last week, I was working, and we went on this call. And a lot of times, of course, thank God there's not a lot of fires, but we go on these other calls. And what happened was we went on this call, and it was this, dad and his son, and the dad was drunk. Been drinking all day there at the beach, and his son was 10 years old. And we got called because it was a medical, the guy couldn't stand and all this other stuff. And so I was assigned with this firefighter that I have to say gets on my nerves. I was on engine 3 and he was on engine 3 with me and we were just, and this guy just gets on my nerves. And, and I have to pray for patience, because not everybody's perfect. So I'm praying for patience. I'm working with this guy all day. So we get to the scene and there's this dad falling all over the place. There's his 10-year-old son. And his son just says to us, can you just help me get my dad home? I'll get him to bed. He'll be fine. I just can't take both of our bikes. I can't take my dad home and our bikes at the same time, but can you just get my dad home? I'm sorry, but a 10-year-old should not have to be dealing with that. My heart was breaking for this 10-year-old kid. My heart was really in so much pain because I was seeing that this kid he loved his dad so much, even when his dad wasn't perfect. And he wanted what was best for his dad. And all of a sudden, the firefighter I was with was gone. Where did he go? There he is, useless, So after I dealt with the situation, and unfortunately, we had to find, this kid another place to go that night, and it was sad. I went into the fire truck, and there's this firefighter bawling his eyes out. He says, Father, how does that happen? How does that happen? And I'm like, I didn't know you had a heart. I didn't know. Hey, all these years, I'm surprised. But I was so moved, certainly, by his reaction. And it bothered him, the rest of the night. And we talked about it, and we talked about it, and we talked about it. And in the end, I just said, Brian, this is what we're about. When we show up to a scene or something, we bring hope. We bring God's hope. It's not, where do you think that hope comes from? Not from you, not from me, from God. And you have to do the same. God is expecting it of you. He wants it. And we have to pray for that desire. We have to pray for that desire more than anything. You know, Lord, let me be the best and most faithful disciple that you have ever called. Let me experience your hope and bring that hope to a world that needs you so much right now. Because you are our God. And I will not be afraid. I will not be afraid. I will not be torn down. I will not be discouraged. I will not let my faith wither away. I will not do that because of your immense love for me. You know, there's a wonderful woman, her name was Dorothy Day. And she did a lot of great work for the church, and she loved to help the poor. And if you'd never really heard of her, you should, because she really was a great example of God's love to the poor. And she had an amazing quote, and she said, "Your love for God is as great for the person you love the least." Your love for God is as great as the person you love the least. It's pretty powerful. You know, when you think about it. And Jesus has called us to love radically and to bring hope radically even to the people that we don't like, the people that we struggle with. How many people you have in your life that you just don't like? Absolutely. We all do. We struggle. But you know, her, Father, it's right next to me. Don't even look any further. You should point right back at him. Thank God for that. You're honest. So you know what? The bottom line is, this discipleship that we're called to, you know, it's not just convenient. It's not this convenient discipleship that we can just bring whenever we want, to whomever we want, but to the person we love the least. To the person that we struggle with. When we love that person, then Jesus sees our true self. Jesus sees our true identity, and he sees that. And you know what? He is going to work miracles. He didn't ask you to work the miracle. He just asked you to bring the love. Jesus will change that heart, just like he changed yours. So when we decide to really embrace this discipleship, when we decide to really embrace that God is hope, and this hope has called us to be his disciples because the world needs it, maybe we be willing to bring this love and this compassion to the people that we love the least. And I know it's not easy, and I know you're going to struggle with that. But when you do it, you will then feel authentic discipleship. And you know what? They may reject it. They may not know it. They may be like, what is wrong with you? But don't stop. Because Jesus needs you more than ever. He's counting on you. He wants your love. He wants your heart to be changed, and then you to change each other. You know, and I really think that that's what we're here for this weekend. Is to really be strengthened so that you and I can be his disciples. It's really that simple. That you and I can embrace that hope and that love and that mercy and that joy of our faith. That's the other thing, is be joyful. Please be joyful. There's enough miserable Catholics out there. Don't be another one. All right? Don't be another one. You know, I love this. Best story, my third assignment was at St. Michael's in Brattleboro. Brian was there, a great place. And, you know, we had 40 people come into the church at the Easter Vigil. I was like, this is amazing. So, I reserved all these pews for them and their families, and these two wonderful women came in and sat in that section. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but these pews are for our new Catholics coming in. I've sat in this pew for 35 years, Father, and you're not telling me different. Well, I didn't tell you different. I'm telling you to move. So she wouldn't move. They wouldn't move. I took the pew out the next week. I did. I told you, get in and take that pew out. Gone. The church doesn't need that. Church doesn't need grumpy Catholics, but filled with joy. And when we understand his hope, then we are filled with immense joy. When we have just a glimpse of God's hope, we're changed forever. Our hearts are changed. Our lives are changed. Our very being is changed because we've experienced something greater than ourselves. So my plea for all of us, myself included, my brother priests and deacons, please, when we come to the altar today, when we receive the Eucharist, please be changed forever. Please be willing to be a disciple of hope, to be a disciple of God's joy, of God's peace. Will you embrace that God is the greatest hope that we have? That God is calling us to His discipleship? That God is radically challenging us to be His love and mercy in this world? Will you please welcome this Lord and Savior who has loved you immensely? Will you allow Him to change your heart, to allow you to change your heart, especially with the people that you struggle with, the people that you don't love, the people that you don't like? Those are the people that we need to minister to. May we embrace them. And that's a struggle. May we embrace them. We will be changed forever if we welcome the Eucharist in our hearts. It's not what we do, it's what God does through us. We're never on our own. We're never left alone. We never have to worry about being abandoned because God is our hope. And He wants to so radically give you that hope. Will you embrace it? Will you embrace His hope? Please? Will you embrace that hope that will never, ever fail? Will you embrace that hope that will change the world, change the church, change you forever? And it starts with the Eucharist. And when we have changed, people around us will change. Our house will change. Your school will change. Your friends will change because they have hope. And when they have hope, they will experience God's amazing presence because you gave it to them. You know, in Vermont, where I'm from, is the most godless state in the country. It's the most godless state in the country. Bring it on. You know, all my brother priests are, oh, it's so discouraging. Bring it on. That's another soul that we need to reach. That's another person that needs God's hope. That's another family that's searching, but they just don't know what they're searching for. And just like my state and your schools and even your towns, people are searching. And you might be the only Christ that they will experience. You might be the only Christ that they will encounter. You might be the only form of church that they will ever know. So be that witness. Be that hope. Be changed. Because God is counting on all of you.